This is the tutorial on how to trace the teapot and make it look as smooth as possible. So the first thing you're going to do is place the image. So you'll download the image from your Canvas account and place it in here. There it is, and you can resize it to be a different size. And what you're going to do is just follow through the Canvas or the slideshow that's in Canvas, which will just take you through step by step on how what you need to do to make this a drawing and not a photograph. So we have it in our first layer here. What we're going to do is we're going to lock this layer now, and we're going to add a new layer. That new layer is going to be the layer that we're actually going to draw in, and the photo can remain in the other layer. So we can hide that layer, we can lock that layer, but that way when we are drawing on top of it, it doesn't interfere with the actual, with the photograph. So in Canvas, it tells you to, let's see here, sorry, I gotta find the slide. It walks you through each step. Okay, there we go. And so we're on this exercise here. So we're going to draw the contour lines. We've done all of these steps so far, and then we're going to begin drawing in a new layer. The key to doing this is in as few anchor points as possible, because when you add more anchor points, it's going to not be a very clean drawing. And once you get a good handle on how to control the lines and the curves, you should be able to do it with very few anchor points. So in Illustrator, we're going to start tracing it. So you can kind of choose any intersecting point. I'm going to choose this spot right here because it's a good starting point. It's not in the middle of a curve, so I'm going to grab my pen tool. And you know what? I'm going to make sure that I don't have a fill, so no fill, and then the outline is black or another color that will stand out. So I can probably make this curve all in one. So I'm going to click and drag to pull the handle out. So I'm clicking and I'm holding it down and I'm dragging, okay? If you have a mouse, this is going to be much easier on a mouse versus a trackpad. And then to end a curve, I just click on that tool or on that anchor point. Zoom in, Control plus. There's a little curve in here, so I'm going to create that curve, and it gives you a preview of the line that you're creating. Okay, so if I go like this, it's telling me what that curve is going to look like, and the handles here, these guys, are telling that line what direction to go. So from here, I'm going to try this. I'm going to come up here, I'm going to click, hold, and drag, and it created a pretty decent line. I'm going to make sure that's kind of parallel. And then I'm going to do that again over here. But it looks like I'm going to need to change that curve a little bit. So I'm going to kind of pull that out. We'll come back later and we'll fix those gaps and we'll fix that line. So you get it as close as you can. And then click, that's more of a straight point, so no curve there needed, so a single click. The next line, I'm going to try to do this with one and see what happens. So I'm going to click, hold, and drag and try to create the curve to match the edge of the teapot. I'm going to move along, so just scroll over. Now if I come down here and click, it makes a line like that. We want to end that point, so we're going to click on the anchor point to end that point. There's a curve here, so we don't want to click right in the crease there. I'm going to click right ahead of it. Click, hold, and drag. If I come here, it makes a weird curve, so I'm just going to end that there. Click, hold, and drag to create that curve. And I'm just following the contours of the outside of the teapot. Again, as few anchor points as possible. And we can go back and fix curves and anchor points later. So if I were to just start clicking here and just start, to try to follow that line, it's not going to look very good. It's going to look really jagged. It's not going to look very nice and clean. So we want to avoid that. Again, as few amount of anchor points as possible. Command minus to zoom out. Click, hold, and drag. Click here to end that curve. Click, hold, and drag. Again, we can go back and fix curves later. You want to get the general drawing here as close as we can. Click, hold, and drag. There's a slight curve there. Any new curve is a click, hold, and a drag. Click, hold, and a drag. It's a new curve. Actually, I'm going to undo that. I'm going to end that here so we don't have an additional curve to deal with there. Click, hold, and drag. I'm going to zoom out. Click, hold, and drag. Come up here. Single click. It already kind of followed that contour already. We'll go back and fix that later. Click, hold, and drag. End that curve. Click, hold, and drag. Notice the curves kind of go in and out on the handle of this, so you kind of got to be a little careful about you have to be a little careful about when you start and end an anchor point. When a curve starts to go the other direction, you should definitely add an anchor point. Here's an example of that. It kind of goes in and then back out again, so we might want to create that curve and then come create the curve as it bows back outwards. You have to close the shape in order for this to work. Okay, so now we've got this shape here, and we can select it, and we can fill it with a color. All right, right now it's a green outline. Let's flip it to a fill. We have a nice contour filled object of our teapot. I'm going to flip that back to an outline. Now I want to create the handle. So that's going to be a separate shape. So you can see where this would be a really powerful drawing tool once you get the hang of it. And there's a learning curve. It's going to be hard at first. Okay, now we have a closed shape. Wherever we started with the anchor point, you have to end. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide the teapot. Okay, so now we just have a drawing. And I'm going to fill my teapot with a color. It doesn't matter, any color. And I'm going to fill the inside of the handle with another color, just so we can see those different shapes. We're going to create a compound path. To do that, you hold this and you hold this. And what we're going to do is punch a hole through the green teapot. So go to Object, Compound Path, Make, and it punched a hole through. So if I have an object behind here, let's show you the teapot. We're going to see that one again. And we're going to unlock it so we can move it around. So we can see that teapot through that hole that we punched. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we are going to fix the lines. So if I go back in here and take a look at take a close look, zoom in really nice and tight, take a close look at what needs to be fixed, if anything. I'm going to take my white arrow, I'm going to fix this line here. It's kind of goofy. I can select a single anchor point and I can change the curve. So I'm just selecting that and I'm pulling the handle to adjust that curve. Down here, I'm going to fix this one. Okay. Kind of follow along here. This is maybe a little bit off. Take that anchor point, move it down, pull that curve in a little bit and pull in this curve a little bit. Notice how it does when you adjust one curve, it does adjust the other curve if it's connected to the same anchor point. Okay, so that we have a nice cleaned up drawing, and we can go ahead and hide that and create our teapot. There we go. Good practice in adjusting handles and curves and going back in and editing any shape. So a great technique for when you are creating your own logo.